Hola everyone, Christian here. Did you know beautiful design and excellent user experience can increase the perceived value of your Shopify store? I want to go over best practices, why they actually matter, and I'm actually gonna show you hands-on how to get it done on the Dawn theme. Stick around. It takes 0.05 seconds for a customer to decide if they're going to shop on your site or not. That's insane if you think about it. So it's very, very important that you are doing everything in your power to stand out and make a great first impression. Now we're going to categorize best practices into 4 main categories that define a great e-commerce website experience. Number 1 is going to be aesthetically pleasing. The aesthetically pleasing category. So first off, your Shopify store needs to impress the customer, right? So a good visual appeal is a must if you're going to capture their attention in 50 milliseconds. So what are some best practices to ensure that your website is aesthetically pleasing? Well, I'm glad you asked. The first one is to display your product photography with a clean white background and also include lifestyle photos of your products being used. That's like the gold standard. You don't necessarily have to follow it verbatim, but I'm telling you, these are best practices. So maybe you don't have a white background, maybe you have a slight gray background, maybe you have a tan background. The important thing here is to make sure that your photography is on point, that your photography looks great, crisp. You can actually appreciate the product. We've actually talked on several videos on different examples of different websites who are doing great product photography and they don't necessarily follow this white background gold standard. Now, if you want to follow this, then the number 1 app that I would recommend is remove.bg. As you can see, remove.bg removes the image background of any image 100% automatically and free. If you don't want to use remove.bg, the iPhone 16 iOS, they just came out with an awesome feature that if you take your photography with your iPhone, you can just tap, hold, it will cut it out for you and you can paste it whatever you want. So there are ways to clean up your photos very, very easily. And again, obviously you wanna have awesome lighting with all your photos, but cutting them up, putting them in some clean backgrounds, again, gold standard. Best practice number 2 is to limit your website to 2 main colors. Use them wisely. Now, in order to pick your colors, you want to make sure that you have some sort of either brand guidelines or brand kit for your whole company, right? It's not just coming up with a logo. A lot of times logos are just black and white and they don't show a lot of color. So it's very important that you pick some sort of color palette that showcases the personality of the brand, it showcases who the brand really is, and it helps tell the story of your particular brand. Now, if you don't have a color palette in place, you could have up to 5 colors technically, but what we're telling you right now is use 2 main colors as sort of your go-to when it comes to the website. You don't want to necessarily plague your website with a bunch of different colors. Just use 2 and use them wisely. And when I say use them wisely, and I've talked about this before, where the add to cart button and the bag button are super, super important. That's where you want people to pay most attention to. So it's important for those 2 buttons, the add to cart, maybe the cart button, to be very unique, right? And not use that color anywhere else on the website. If you have 2 colors, maybe you have black and white, and then 2 extra colors, one of those colors, you wanna make sure that that's the unique color that you use for your add to cart button. If you don't have colors picked out, then I would suggest to do something like coolers.co, and super fast, you can just make some color palettes in here. You can go to the palette generator here, just by using your spacebar. You just tap, and you can actually see different variations of different color palettes, things that look good. I actually kind of like that. That looks nice, right? And even if you don't necessarily like all these colors like they are, you can delete some. You could add more if you wanted to. You could also just slightly change the hue or the different shades of that particular color. So maybe you like this one a little bit better. And this one actually looks better over here, right? So overall, that's what you wanna do. You wanna get a color palette, figure out what your brand colors are, use them wisely on your website. Now, as with colors, it's best practice to also stick to 2 fonts and create a hierarchy between them. There is a link here that I'm going to include in the description below. It's from Canva. So if you're not using Canva, Canva is a great tool. If you can't pay, you can't afford something like Photoshop, Canva gives you a blog post here with the ultimate guide to font pairing. And you may be thinking like, Christian, I'm just trying to sell products online. I don't care about any of this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just important to know the information. You don't necessarily have to maybe take action immediately, but just know the information, know the anatomy of typography, know how to properly put two different fonts together. I mean, as a solopreneur, as an entrepreneur just starting out, you have to do a lot of these things, right? So if you get just a little bit of knowledge on what looks good together, you may not have that creative design eye, to see at a glance like that looks good, that doesn't look good. But if you just have a little bit of knowledge on how to put it together and make it look good, that's all you need. So that's the only reason why I'm giving you this resource here, just to make sure that you at least know a little bit so that you can put those two fonts together. Now, let me go into here on the Dawn theme, because I did say that I wanted to show you here on the Dawn theme. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to theme settings, and within the theme settings, that's colors and typography are gonna be right in here. So colors, if I click right here, you'll see the primary colors. We have solid button labels. That's that one color that I'm telling you, you need to make sure that it's very unique. We also have different accent colors. We have accent gradients. So for example, if these two colors look good on a gradient, then that may be something that I use for my store. So you can actually set up different gradients in here. Now, you also have secondary colors. So you have a lot of different options with background colors, background links, text color, etc. Number one thing with colors is to make sure that that you're paying attention to the accessibility portion of it, right? Not everyone can discern different colors. So it's important to make sure that you have good, high quality contrast between text and background color so that it's very easy to read text on your website. That would be my biggest advice there. Now, same with color. Typography, you can find it right here. And then with typography, you have headings and then you have body. So those are the two fonts that you'll be able to pick on your website. Now, in this guide, it talks about what looks good as far as headings and the paragraph or the body copy, as they call it here. And that's what you want to do in here. You also have the opportunity in here to change the hierarchy, right? So the hierarchy is like headings are usually bigger, body copy is usually a little bit smaller. So you can change that in here. And you can also change the font by just going through their library, or if you know a particular font that you use for your company, then you can search it right within here. Now, there are ways to also add custom fonts. I don't think we have made a video on that yet, but we might if you guys are interested in that, because you might have created your brand kit or your brand guidelines a long time ago, and you decided that, I don't know, not Times New Roman, but let's say maybe Century Gothic was your heading font, and Century Gothic may not be available right here. So you need a way to add that manually into your theme. There's a solution for that. So if you're interested, let us know in the comments below and we'll do that for you. Now, before we move on to other best practices, I just want to say bienvenidos. My name is Christian Piñon, one of the co-founders here at Bit Branding. We're an e-commerce growth agency that specializes in helping clothing stores grow and scale profitably online. If you didn't know, we drop new videos every week, so make sure that you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of our new videos. So aesthetically pleasing was the first category. The second category is going to be trust. Trust. Such a small word, but such a big commitment, right? So imagine you just walk into a new boutique that just opened in your hometown and you see a huge disaster. Just clothes all over the place, it's dirty, there's no one there to greet you when you walk in. What are you gonna do next? You're probably gonna get out of there faster than Wild Coyote running into a painted landscape. Now, when someone visits your store for the first time, they know nothing about you, your brand, the quality of your products, your commitment to make them happy. So how do we fix this? How do we instill trust to website visitors? So number one best practice to instill trust is have your contact information displayed on the footer and have a dedicated contact page and have a dedicated about page. a lot of people are missing actually the about page. A lot of people are actually missing, I know that for sure. So just having your contact information and making it seem to, again, website visitors, first-time website visitors, that you are a legitimate company, that you have a phone number, that you have a legitimate address, that will instill trust in them, right? It will make them feel like, okay, this actually exists in real life. It's not just some kind of facade online and that's it. So creating the contact information on the footer for the Dawn theme, you want to go to your sections here and then scroll all the way to the bottom until you see footer. And then right within footer, you have a few sections, a few things that you can manipulate in here. Now, let me go out of footer, and then we just wanna do the drop here so we can see the section. So right now we have quick links. So it's this right here, just the links. And then we have a heading. So we just maybe talk a little bit about the store. Now with the heading here, we can talk about, hey, we are a boutique from Scottsdale, Arizona, and we love our customers. Simple, right? Now, beyond that, we can also add another block. We can add an image. We could add an image of maybe a storefront, maybe of the team, just having it down here at the footer. Again, what we want to make sure that people know is that there's real people behind this store. So all those little things are gonna be very, very important. Now, right within here, within the text one, you could also do space. You can put a phone number here, 555-555-555. And I believe if I just copy this, make it a link, see, now we have a clickable phone number link right within here on this heading block. Is it called a heading block or is it called a text block? I think it's called a text block. But yeah, like I said, with the Dawn theme, you have a couple options here that you can include right within here. Now, the contact page and about page, you'll definitely want to get out of here. Actually, let me just quickly save that real quick. Now for the contact and about page, you'll want to go to online store and then pages. And then in here, I might actually just, I might have about and contact already created, but you just want to add a new page. And then you'll title it contact page or contact us. And then depending on your theme and the version that you have, obviously we're talking about Dawn. So with Dawn, you actually have a contact template. Now the contact template will automatically include the form on that page, right? It's a contact page, you should be able to have a form. So you can actually do the contact and that would automatically assign that form to this page. And then on top of that, you need to make sure that you include all your information in here, maybe your store hours, maybe your location, phone number, how to contact them, etc. Maybe a little bit of an FAQ right within here would be very beneficial. Click save on that. Now, after you create your pages, you can't just create it and leave it like that. You actually have to add this to your navigation. Otherwise, nobody will be able to see this. If you go to navigation here, and typically best practice is to have these towards the bottom. So we're gonna add this to in this particular, we have the help menu, which is the one that shows up in the footer. And then we're gonna add contact. And then in here, you can actually type in contact, but you can also search for the page that you just created, right? So go to pages, and then I named it contact us just as the previous one. So whichever one it was, so click on contact us. So that means that that link will automatically go to that contact page. So we go there, we go here, we refresh this, go all the way to the bottom, and now you can see that we have a contact page in here. As you can see, it has a form. This is the previous one that we had created. So we can add images, we can add text, more information, and then the form right within there. Now, what other best practices we have as far as instilling trust, right? We're still in that trust category. We can offer free returns, obviously with exceptions. You don't wanna necessarily have free returns for everyone. So that's up to you to create your own rules on how you want to accept returns. We do recommend using some form of app just to make the process a little bit easier if you're at that volume, right? Once you get to a volume where you can't handle the normal free returns that come in, then getting some sort of app will be very, very beneficial. Now, if you don't have an app or maybe you don't have the resources to necessarily pay for an app, then make sure that you have a return policy. Make sure that your policy talks specifically about what you accept as free returns and how to go through that process. It's usually gonna be something as simple as just email us, right? And that's usually how people start. Now, beyond that, there's apps like Redo, free return automation. This is actually a free app that I just currently found. We're gonna be testing this app because it looks very intriguing as far as everything that it can do, and it's free. So this might be an option for you if you want to try out some apps out there. There used to be an app called Return Magic from Shopify, but I couldn't find it on the App Store anymore. Maybe they're revamping it, or maybe they're trying to do something different, or maybe they completely got rid of it. But that was usually our recommendation, was Return Magic, but it's not there anymore. And then lastly the last best practice is to add payment methods to your footer or any additional badges. So right within here, within the designer, we can go again to the footer. And then in the footer and the Dawn theme, you'll see payment methods, and you just want to make sure that that's check marked. So again, just letting the customer know, hey, we accept all these payment methods. And then on top of that, adding trust badges, it's going to be very beneficial. So adding a section, let me go back here to the home page. And this might be a section that you'll have to add to additional pages, but we'll use actually the same testimonial section here, but we'll manipulate it into being some sort of like trust badge. And I believe that's the multi-column section. And really this will look something like this, where select an image, we have different icons already in here, select that, and then say free shipping. I'm not gonna expand on it. And then let me go to the settings here for the multi-column. I don't need a heading for this. This is gonna be a sort of a freestanding badges section. And then image, we're gonna do 1/3, so it looks a little bit more like an icon. Column alignment, let's do center, so it looks a little bit nicer. And then I don't want to do, there we go, no background. I don't want a button, so we're gonna get rid of that. So that looks pretty good. Heading size, let's do large. Oh, that was the heading overall. Let's see if there is so there's no way to make this a little bit bigger, but that's good. Again, we're using a free theme with free sections, so I'm not complaining. This is actually really nice. And then you do it for all the other ones. So maybe you have a couple things that you want to say in here, maybe 100% authentic products. And then last one would be maybe free returns. So depending on your store, this might look a little bit different for you. But again, just kind of giving you the options of what we typically see on different stores out there. And it's just a matter of making it visually appealing. And any additional badges, any maybe additional certifications or different things like that, that again will instill trust in the customer. And at a glance, you may think like, I see this every day, like it doesn't really do much, but psychologically, it just works. Now, I want to let you in a little secret. We're using a tool called Well for all of our client and group coaching members. And this powerhouse of a tool allows us to see the lifetime value of a customer at 30, 60, and 90 days. But what we're most excited about is the estimated action of customers. So imagine being able to send out email or ad campaigns to customers who are actually likely to buy from you a second or third time, and knowing when to send out these marketing messages. Well is very, very powerful. It centralizes all of your metrics into one place. They simplify, inform, and save you time. So make sure that you check out the link in the description below. We do offer a small discount code in there. So if you're wanting to try it out down below. Now, the third category here is navigation. So navigation is very, very important. Your store nav needs to help customers find products quickly and easily. Overall, it just helps have a great shopping experience for your customers. So best practice number one is to stick only to a few navigation items. So try not to bog down the whole nav with a lot of different links. And if you do, then you need to start thinking about how to make these links fall into different categories. So again, it's a little bit easier to navigate your store. Best practice number two is to be clear and direct about the labels. This is not a time to get cutesy or weird about how you're naming your labels. Have your new arrivals best practices like tops, bottoms. Don't try to use different words, and don't try to add a bunch of different words in there that really don't matter and that don't help the customer. Best practice number three for your navigation is to use the top navigation for products only. We talked about this multiple times, where your About Us, your contact page, your home link, none of that stuff needs to be at the very top. You want to make sure that you have all that stuff towards the bottom in the footer, but the top navigation should only be taking you to actual products on your store. And best practice number four is to include a new arrivals and the best sellers links at the very top on your navigation. That should be probably one of your first top three links that show up in your navigation. So let's go ahead and show you how to do that real quick. Let me click save on this. And just like I showed you how to do the navigation here with pages, we're going to first have to set it up, right? Just like we did with pages, but we're gonna go to products, we're gonna go to collections. And then in here, we actually have already a new arrivals, but let me actually see if I can delete this. Delete collection, delete. So we're gonna create a collection, we're gonna call it new arrivals. And then this is gonna be an automated collection. And this might work a little bit different for you, but what I typically do for new arrivals or best sellers is price greater than 0. So that means that every item that I have in the store that's greater than 0, which if it's greater than 0, I'm probably selling it, right? Then it's gonna show up in this list. And then after you do that, all you have to do is here for the product sorting, you wanna have, so this is new arrival, so newest. And then if you're doing a best sellers, you would do the exact same thing, but instead of the sorting by newest, you do a sorting by best selling. And after you have those collections ready to go, then all you have to do is again, add it to your navigation. So we go to navigation, we go to our main menu. So the main menu is the one that's showing on top for us at least. And we're gonna add menu item here, new arrivals. And then again, you can either search or you can go in, look for it. Click new arrivals, that's collection, add. And like I said, that should be towards the top. As you can see, we don't really need that right there, the home. So again, keep it simple, keep it succinct, add new arrivals, add best sellers. Anything else as far as navigation should go to the footer. Hey, if you like what you see so far, please consider clicking on the like button. All right, the fourth and last category is responsiveness. In our stores, around 60% of customers actually come from mobile devices. So having a responsive store is absolutely essential. Shopify does a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to responsiveness, but there are still a few things that you need to look into. Number one is to not clutter your bottom area. So we see this a lot of times where on desktop, you may have maybe on the left-hand side, you have maybe actually on the right-hand side for us, we have the get 15% off. So that's the actual pop-up that you can hide now. But you may also have your chat button down there, and you may have a bar that comes up that's for the cookie consent. So all these things on desktop may not look that bad, but when you start looking into your mobile view, you will start seeing that bottom area will start to get clogged up very, very easily. So it's important to pay attention to that. And if there is a way, which a lot of times there isn't, to hide on mobile only, then I would go ahead and do that. That will depend on the apps that you're using for those things, for your chat, for your pop-up, for your cookie notification. Maybe there's a way to manipulate them to make them look a little bit better for mobile, but something to pay attention to, because I've seen that area multiple times where it gets just cluttered up with a lot of different buttons and links and things, and it's messy. And we don't want messy when we're trying to, again, instill trust in new customers coming in. And best practice number 2 is to use your theme's mobile only settings to actually manipulate certain elements. So for example, in the Dawn theme, you want to make sure that you go to this mobile view in here, and then for each of these settings, you may have seen or maybe not have seen that there are mobile layout options. So with mobile layout, it would at least give you a few options for you to manipulate a little bit of the content in here. And like I said, Shopify does do a really good job. As you can see, like for the most part, this looks really good, but there may be sections in here that this maybe not look as good as you want it to, and you may have the option to manipulate those things. So it's very important that you go to that mobile view and then you check out the mobile settings that you have available for Dawn and make those changes to make sure that your store looks best. All right, so those are the 4 main categories, and those are all the best practices that we can come up with so far. I'm sure that we'll make a part 2 of this video. It was super interesting to kind of go over some of these best practices and some of the things that we see a lot, right? And some of these things you may think like, hey, that's just, yeah, I've done that, been there, done that. But you may have gotten some golden nuggets of information in here. So if you have, please let us know in the comments below. And if you have any other best practices or something that you deem like, hey, this is like something that everyone should be doing, let us know in the comments below, because we're for sure gonna make a part 2 on this video. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.